Ubisoft sued over return to office mandate. So once again, we're talking about Ubisoft. I mean, at this point, I really feel like they are the gift that keeps on giving, because I've done so many videos on them at this point, which I really wasn't thinking would be a thing. I never thought I'd be doing so many videos on Ubisoft, but they're just constantly in the news. They constantly have stuff going on, from their shitty practices to the games that they have coming out that are just trash. But at this point, I feel like I, surprisingly enough, am actually going to have to side with them in regards to this lawsuit. So this is another lawsuit that they're dealing with, and for anyone that doesn't know, they're dealing with a lawsuit right now against two individuals, I believe, from California. I did a video on it, talking about how they were getting sued over I believe it's the crew. So it is one of those situations where they did shut down the crew online gameplay, and because of that, they are getting sued by some people from California, because California did pass that whole lawsuit where if you mention that that you're purchasing an online game, but you do something in that regard where you kind of like take away the online services, or you take away the availability for them to play it, then it is one of those things they have to state that you're actually owning a license to the game. You're not actually owning the game itself. So they're dealing with that right now, and then they got this other one that's happening because they're causing individuals to go back to work. Now, believe it or not, I'm actually siding with Ubisoft on this. I think they are in the right in regards to what they're trying to do here. And I'll give my thoughts on why I believe that as we go through this article here. But yeah, surprisingly enough, I'm going to have to side with Ubisoft. So we'll get into this and I'll go ahead and get my thoughts. So, as if things couldn't get more interesting for Ubisoft, the company now finds itself with a lawsuit on its hands. Unions at Ubisoft Barcelona have sued the French publisher over its recent return to office mandates. According to Game Industry Biz, the unions for both AAA and mobile teams are demanding Ubisoft ensure protections for remote work and walk back the recent policy changes. The changes were announced back in September, mandated that all Ubisoft employees work in office at least 3 days per week. At the time, Ubisoft said these changes were being done to enhance creativity and teamwork. Under the old remote work policy, employees were able to choose up to 60% of days to be worked remotely. On top of that, they were also fully remote workers on staff. The new mandate was also followed by all employees, even those with prior full time remote agreements. So, pretty much what's happening is that Ubisoft is telling all of its employees that they can't work remotely anymore. They have to actually go into the offices and do their work there. And like I said, I'm gonna have to agree with them on this one, because with the way that their company has been handled recently, as far as the issues they've been having with so many of their games. So we got Star Wars Outlaws, which isn't doing well. I did my video the other day talking about the Steam numbers, that of how it's really low for a game that sold over 1 million copies. We have Skull and Bones, which was on sale, I think, like a month or two after it was released. We have Prince of Persia, which just didn't do well. I heard the game was okay. I heard the storyline kind of had some issues, because pretty much the real Prince of Persia in that game is pretty much who the antagonist is, which I thought was kind of weird. And then you also have the issue with Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, Assassin's Creed Shadows was supposed to have some of the gameplay footage that they had gotten so far as the development has gone on that game. They were supposed to have some of the gameplay footage shown at the Tokyo Game Show a couple months back, and they just canceled that. They didn't show any gameplay footage. They didn't show any type of things that were going to be going on with that game. No story information. So it's been an issue for them, because they were worried that more than likely the game is going to be filled with bugs. It's going to be filled with glitches. It's going to be hard to see like some good gameplay that would really want to have players excited and ready for the game to come out. And on top of having, the lack of excitement from gamers and stuff like that, they also are worried about their investment with investors. Because the last time that I had checked, I believe the stock price was at like $2.57, or like $2.60, something around there. So they're like kind of in a little bit of a panic mode right now, with making sure that, the stuff that they have that is going to be coming out is actually going to be something good. Because like I said, Assassin's Creed Shadows is having issues right now, and then there's been talks with them doing like the whole Tom Clancy Splinter Cell remake. But with everything else that they got going on, I don't think they're going to be able to do something good in that regard. And then on top of it, having to deal with this lawsuit on top of dealing with the other lawsuit that I had mentioned earlier. So it's pretty sad, man, what they're going through. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's Ubisoft. You know what I mean? Like they've done this to themselves. They fought against the grain. They try to, swim upstream too long, and it's coming to bite them in the ass. Like Wesley Snipes said, some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill. So it's just something that we're just gonna have to keep watching. And I mean, as sad as it is, like I said, I am siding with them on this, but the fact of the matter is that they got developers and employees that just they don't want to work in the offices, which is really sad because it's left it where there's a lot of issues where these games are coming out, they're full of bugs, they're full of glitches, and I personally I believe that that is a big issue as to why that is the case. Because chances are these developers are working from home, they're kind of probably bullshitting left and right and not really being able to sit down and be like, "All right, I have to get this done. I have to kind of work." And there is the whole issue that people talk about with like the crunch time and everything like that. But at the same time, I feel like when there's companies like this that just have their employees kind of doing whatever, I feel like that's kind of on them. Like you need a crunch time in that regard. Some not to all of them, but I mean some of them like this, where if you have a major corporation that's been coming out with so many flops, it has to be worked on. And then we'll go ahead and finish up this last couple of sentences and we'll go from there. So, according to the unions via GI Biz, the change by Ubisoft was done suddenly and without transparency. It would also create logistical problems as the offices aren't prepared to accommodate all remote workers at once. It was added that both parties were ready to negotiate. However, Ubisoft management hadn't submitted a proposal before the lawsuit was filed on October 14th. Ubisoft has yet to comment on the lawsuit. What do you think of Ubisoft being sued by union employees over their return to office mandate? Let us know down below and join the Discord in the official Insider Gaming forums. So, this is a weird one too because I feel like it's one of those situations that I'm pretty sure that a lot of these employees were able to work remotely and kind of do that because of COVID. And, once COVID was kind of getting done with and, it's been a few years, man. So once that stuff was kind of dying down and it was kind of getting back to the normal, I feel like they should have done this back then. But the fact that they waited so long and the fact that they didn't, mandate this sooner, that's in my opinion, I feel like that's one of the big reasons why this kind of happened to begin with. Because if they were mandating that everyone gets back to work around that same time, there's a big chance it probably wouldn't been as big of a deal as it is now. But since they took their time with it, and it did kind of get to this point, it's on them. You know what I mean? As fucked up as it is to say, because like I said, I do agree with them that they should have their employees come in and work on their stuff, but it's they took too long and they just gave them too much leeway in my opinion. So I think it's pretty messed up, but at the end of the day, like I've said before, it is Ubisoft. They've fuck them, because they've shown us who they really are as a game developing company and everything like that. And I just really don't care about what's going on to them if it's anything negative in that regard at this point. So those are my thoughts on that. Do you guys agree that they should have their employees come into the office, or do you think it's one of those things that they're asking too much? Especially because it is one of those things where they've mentioned, like it was mentioned before, that they have it so that they don't have enough space for their employees. More than likely, they don't have enough office space and everything like that. But at the same time, I feel like that's something that they can work on themselves and have it so that they can bring in people, different time frames. It's not like everyone has to all go in at the very same time. You know what I mean? You can work people's schedules out to kind of switch among each other and everything like that. Have some people earlier in the week, have some people come in later in the week. Some people work in the morning, some people work at night, stuff like that. So who knows? Who knows what the direction it'll take? So if you guys can let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.